All right, good afternoon. Our day continues here, day one of X Takeover. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, host of the Ride the Lightning Tesla podcast. Post every Sunday. There'll be a new one that drops tomorrow. Our next panel is a couple guys I know very well. First one, you know him well, John Stringer, the president of the Tesla Owners of Silicon Valley Club, that is really the mastermind of this whole event, along with his whole team. Without him, none of us are here. None of us are here doing this. John's going to be chatting with another awesome person, Ben Schaffer from Unplugged Performance. If you have ever wanted to performance tune your Tesla, this is the gentleman you want to speak with. And yes, that includes the Cybertruck, by the way. There's plenty of examples of their work in the field today. So please welcome them both. Come on up, guys.
So I will come up, Ben. You'll come up in a minute. So first off, Ryan, thank you. So the funny thing is, Ryan is actually a member of TOSV.
Founding member? Is that
yeah,
a thing?
pretty much. You came
at
the first IKEA. We were in East Palo Alto, and I was like, literally, we were only on Twitter at that point, and I was like, hey, owners in the Bay Area, come to this place. And there was like 40 to 60 people.
It's a good turnout.
Yeah, it was crazy, but I just want to thank you for all you do. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
And emceeing and stuff.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Let's give him a round of applause. So, let me just move this. So yeah, I just want to introduce, he really doesn't need an introduction, but there's very few people, just over the years. I think I literally met Ben in 2019, early days of our club and where we were. And there's very few companies that are just taking cars, really Tesla, and pushing it to the limits to prove, really to shut people's mouths, especially when this company, all of the lies, when you think of over the years, what are the lies that this company has been told? And they are pushing performance to the limits. I mean, you've seen Dark Helmet going to Pikes Peak. They're now doing stuff for police cars. There's rumors of other things, maybe, which we'll get into. But you can see all of that stuff showcased. There's literally a Cybertruck police truck over there, a Model Y police car. I think I saw Irvine Police with a Cybertruck police car. I mean, Unplugged, what they're doing is just amazing. And so couldn't be more proud to have him, because he's not only a person I've known all of these years, and really, I mean, obviously he was even the big dog back then, but like I feel like I grew up with him in a lot of ways in this community. So Ben, let's come up and we're gonna roll an amazing video for you. So let's give Ben a quick applause, and we're gonna have the video shoot. So who else got chills watching that? So, one thing I wanted to personally say, I personally got my Cybertruck wrapped by Unplugged Performance down in Los Angeles, and I have the CyberHex rims on my Model X and my Cybertruck. They're actually both displayed over there, so it's the first pair ever really in history, I think. But I can honestly say, not only has Ben and I grown up, I feel like I've grown probably in this community, with him, but now I'm actually, I've been able to use and see their products and see, like, again, I feel like I was the first digital camo, and then it's like every 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like there's another one coming out. So, so thank you again. I mean, what you guys are doing is amazing. But, you have a background, obviously, with GTRs. You were even in a Fast and Furious movie. You're a big auto nut, whatever you want to call it. Why would you ever, especially when you started, why would you go all in on Tesla? Why? and part of these questions are because not everyone is going to know your foundation story and why you are here today and why you've been so successful.
Thank you. First of all, shout out to John. These events are really, really important for the community. They are not easy to run. And it takes an army, and John's a hell of a general for that army. Last time I was with you in Austria at Tesla.
Crazy.
At Takeover. Yeah. Shout out to Austria. So this is a worldwide movement, and it takes all of us to make it happen. So I'm just grateful to be along for the ride. This is a ride we all share together. In terms of the question, my background, when I was in college, when I was 20, I was into motorsports. I was a street racer. I couldn't really afford the hobby, so I started selling car parts, and I was really into Japanese culture, so I started importing from Japan. This was the year 2000. I was in the first Fast and the Furious movie, and then consulted on part 3 and part 4. But during this whole beginning of my career, I loved cars, I loved racing, and I loved car community. And somehow or another, I've witnessed the rise of 2 different areas of car culture. I was very deeply involved in the beginning of Japanese car tuning back in 2000. And then I think in hindsight, that helped prepare me for the beginning of EV tuning. So what happened was in 2013, we acquired an office building for our Japanese car tuning business that just so happened to be next to our next speaker, Franz's office at Design Studio for Tesla. So we met Tesla as our neighbors in 2013, and a couple of the great guys there who are still with the company came to our office, liked our 2,000 horsepower Nissan GTRs we were building, and asked us what we thought about their vehicles. And I, by the way, already was a Tesla stockholder from 2012. Got in at $24 a share, which was great. But I didn't think of it as a career. I didn't think of it even as a car enthusiast until I drove one. And I didn't drive one until I met my neighbors in 2013. And within a day of driving, it was a 2013 Model S P85 Plus. Within a day of driving that, I realized my career as I knew it was either over or I was going to have to change. The car industry was over or was going to have to change, and the future was undoubtedly EVs. And my conviction has been unshaken ever since. And the challenge back then was I was used to modifying cars that had an ecosystem, that had parts already manufactured and had people already understanding it. And I looked at this future that we're all witnessing now unfold back when it was deeply unpopular, back when no one wanted to modify a Tesla, and I felt that we had to advocate for car culture in the future, to advocate for EVs being legitimate as car enthusiast vehicles, as motorsports vehicles, as something that gets people excited for not just driving to work and back, but loving their car, loving the community of car enthusiasts, like a real lifestyle and passion. So we were the first to build aftermarket tuning parts for Teslas. There was no one who had ever made a suspension upgrade or a brake upgrade or carbon fiber parts or any of the stuff that we do today that we take for granted. We had to start from zero on all of it. It's hard to build a business when there's no customers. We did all this before there was customers. And over the years, I think what we experience as Tesla enthusiasts, whether you're into motorsports or not, what we've experienced, anyone who's been in the audience in this scene for more than 10 years knows at one point we were underdogs as Tesla enthusiasts. At one point, we were the crazy ones that held on to Tesla stock when it was going to go bankrupt. We were the ones who would tell our friends EVs are the future, and it wasn't. People didn't believe us. And now the best-selling car in the world is a Model Y, and we've transitioned from underdogs to mainstream, and it's kind of crazy. For anyone who's been along for that journey, it's kind of crazy that what we believed was going to happen actually did happen. But that's the beauty of conviction. That's the beauty of, if anything, first principles, just basic science and physics. It's obvious these cars are better if you understand the math. Like, it's not even debatable. So that's what drives us as enthusiasts. That's what drives us. I'm bullish on Tesla stock, although I'm not as well known for my comments on Tesla stock. I have a lot of thoughts on that as well.
Cyber bull session right now.
Yeah, I'm down, man. I'm all about it, all of it, because we're still in the first inning. Even though the Model Y is the best-selling car on the planet, this is still the beginning of everything. And in fact, what you'll witness if you go over to our booth is our bet on the beginnings all over again with police cars. What we did in 2013, we bet our entire business, and we were going to go bankrupt if we failed. We bet our business on creating the aftermarket for Teslas. We're doing the same thing again, betting our business on the creation of Tesla as a platform for police vehicles. And you'll see us touring across the country trying to take market share from Ford, who's the incumbent leader, with a Model Y patrol car, which by any metric, I think it's a better solution. And our hope is that what we've seen in the aftermarket that's transpired in the 12 years or so we've been doing this, I hope in the future we'll see the same thing happen with police cars, and that's our current mission.
You talked about this, I don't know if you want to call it Mount Everest that you essentially had to climb. I mean, 2012, 2013, you're all in. Like, I think similar with me. Again, I got on my first Tesla in 2018, so I'm kind of late to the game. But when I got into it, I instantaneously knew that this was the future. But talk to me a little bit about, some of the things you had to go through to, show up to these car events with your, obviously your souped up Teslas, going to Pikes Peak as literally, the only electric vehicle. What has that been like? What has that journey been like?
I made a realization at one point that I actually much prefer being the antagonist and being in a place where I'm not welcome and advocating a point when I know I'm right. It's a lot more fun than speaking here where everyone already has drank the Kool-Aid with me. Everyone in the audience already knows these things as true, so I'm preaching to the choir. But it's actually really fun going into a place where you're not welcome and then changing people's minds and walking away feeling like you made an impact. And I have always kind of seeked out those opportunities. And some of the examples you talked about, there were so many. Even from the beginning, when we started Unplugged out of Bulletproof Automotive, we grew at that point to 4 million or so fans on Facebook, and we made an announcement we were going to modify Teslas. And imagine the response you get for an announcement being the hardcore Nissan GTR tuner with all these people saying you're going to modify EVs. It's instant hate. And then we were the first to bring a Tesla to the SEMA trade show in Las Vegas in 2014, and it's instant hate. Everyone's like, what is this? Get out of here. You don't belong. And then we start going to track day events, and the most fun thing is to go to a track day event and set the fastest lap in an EV, and everyone is a little bit frustrated but also curious. Those are the things that matter. That's where territory is won. That's where hearts and minds are won, is competing in places where no one's ever seen that happen before. So we always kind of look for those opportunities. I think police cars now, we're doing it again. People aren't entirely ready for that, and I like being in places a little bit early and fighting for that territory. Pikes Peak, for example, we won our division in Pikes Peak with the Model S Plaid. We had a lot of adventures at Pikes Peak, but going up there is important because people see that these cars are fun to drive, they're fast, they're competitive, and it makes people think differently about it. When we benchmarked our Model 3 lap times against the Porsche 911 GT3, people thought we were nuts. And then we made the Model 3 faster than the Porsche GT3 and went out to the track, showed our lap times, and we pissed a lot of people off. But I like that. I'm not afraid of pissing people off because
I feel like this is life advice. Take note, people.
It's really fun to just advocate for something you believe in. And I don't go there thinking, I'm right and you're wrong. That's not what it's about. And I don't go there thinking, you should change to EV because EVs are better. Like, I'm not advocating to be vegetarian. I like eating meat. Like, I'm not advocating to do anything you don't want to do, but I'm showing there's an option. I'm showing that when I go there to the racetrack with our team and we kick everyone's ass, at least you realize, this could be done. This actually exists. And then people can make the choice on their own. They can join Team Tesla or they can stay with gasoline-powered cars, and I don't mind. I think there is room for everyone to do everything. But the key point is advocating for stuff we believe in, and That's really like the most fun part of the mission for me.
No, it's an incredible story, especially given your background. I mean, I remember, this was way back when we first met. I think you sent me the clip of, you in the Fast and Furious with Paul Walker. I mean, that was just so classic because, I mean, that's the era that I grew up, just these, Fast and Furious days as far as like just modded stuff. And so it's such an incredible journey. I personally had the privilege of last September, I took my Model X out to the track in Buttonwillow. And that was just to be able to take something so quick and so powerful and really just a beast onto like a family SUV and track it. But tell me a little bit about why create these community events about, like Tesla Corsa and tracking cars or literally tracking Teslas?
Yeah, so in the early 2000s, I was involved in Japanese cartooning and the rise of that. And you realize there's a kind of recipe to what car community is. You need certain components for it to thrive. You need track day culture and performance culture because if nothing else, the most hardcore people who are into that push engineering and push the message of vehicles being competitive. You don't need everyone to do it, but someone has to do it. Events like this, you don't need 100 of them, but they have to be a couple to bring people together that really are meaningful. There's a certain components of car culture that if you don't have it, the culture is not strong. And for selfish reasons, I didn't want a career that I was in already at that point for 13 years to become, as they say, horseback riding or something that becomes less relevant and too niche. I really want car culture to survive through the EV movement and to thrive, not just to survive, but to actually thrive and to grow. And when we create events like Tesla Corsa, it's not to make money. In fact, every event we lose money, which makes it really hard to scale because the more you do, the worse you do. Don't
show up, but really do.
But it's one of those things where you see the impact, and the impact is seen by new enthusiasts. Like my favorite thing are people who have never modified a car before and come to us and say, hey, I saw this thing I was really interested about. Like right now, we do a lot of we call luxury suspension. We make the Model Y arguably more comfortable to drive. And we have a lot of customers who never modified a car ever. Customers who don't fit any tuner profile, 70 and 80-year-olds who come through. They just want a really comfortable ride in their Model Y. And every time I see a person who's entering into this, that's so energizing for me. It doesn't matter their age, their background, their country. Just seeing people get interested in their cars at a level where they're customizing it, where they're modifying it to their tastes, that's a vote for car culture to thrive. And I think, someone who's committed so much of my life to car culture, I think it's really important to seek out those opportunities to bring people into the community. And hopefully they show up at events like this. Hopefully they show up at events like Tesla Corsa. The world is so crazy, and it's not getting any less crazy, but I think it's really important to find things that connect people together and that promote unity. And I'm really all about people being reminded of what makes us the same versus what makes us different. I think a lot of times people get really focused on, I'm 99% the same, but that one thing I hate so much I won't talk to you. Like that's where we're at right now as a society, and it sucks. So events like this, we can bridge those gaps. When I travel the world and meet other owners, doesn't matter what their background is, I instantly have a common connection. That's really special. And, in a philosophical way, I think car culture is really important to foster that kind of connection because everyone is more the same than we are different.
Yeah, and that's the insane thing about the Tesla community at large. I literally have, I think even in the first 3 rows, like people that I met in Austria. We have 5 people that came all the way out from Austria that helped set up the formation. Simon from the UK, the Netherlands, Sweden. You have people from all over the world, people from Singapore, and you literally can't make this stuff up. And so it's crazy how much, something like Tesla. I remember when I tracked at Tesla Corsa, I was like, this is just. You get a different adrenaline that just is. It can get dangerous because you want to feed it and you want to track it. But I'm like, it's also an expensive hobby with the tires. But at the same time, it's just, it's crazy how Tesla really can bring people together and really how you guys are using community events to really just get rid of and get people on the track that have never had experience and just reset that mindset.
I love seeing a Model X on the track because it totally is unexpected. So having you do that and others, I think is cool. We had a bunch of Cybertrucks on the racetrack out there with plaids. Such a weird combination to have Cybertrucks and plaids on the track at the same time. I love all this stuff. And, a part of Tesla Corsa as well is to make it feel like community. It's not some macho thing where everyone's super aggro and is arguing with each other, trying to pass in corners. It's just fun. It's a way to go fast without getting thrown in jail. And that's good, and it's safe. It's a lot safer to do it on the track than it is to do it on the street. I came from a background as a street racer, and I'm not terribly proud of a lot of the stuff I did when I was younger, but tracks are a good place to explore your car. And quite frankly, these cars are so fast that I don't think anyone could even understand their car fully until they go to the racetrack with it, because they're just so damn fast that the street is not the place even to find those limits.
Yeah, unless you're on the German Autobahn, which I experienced. But talk to us a little bit. So I want you to comment a little bit on, because we've talked a little bit about performance pretty much the whole time, and obviously the Cybertruck we all know is badass, and you guys have UP Invincible line, and obviously you have a whole line just for the Cybertruck. How has that changed everything? So let's hit on that, and then let's just talk about the stuff you are literally in. I mean, you have two police vehicles, literally police-ready vehicles in at this event. So we'll get into that. But talk to us a little bit how the Cybertruck has added just a completely different dynamic to how you approach all the stuff that you do.
It's super fun to be modifying Teslas because, from a background of a car enthusiast, it's great to be in a category where there's always something new and exciting. The Cybertruck, on any metric you measure it, is the most new and exciting vehicle platform in my lifetime, in most of our lifetimes, maybe ever. There's so many things different about it, and that's really cool when you come at it like I do as a problem solver, and I think about different use cases. It's really refreshing to have a new platform. So yeah, for the Cybertruck, we've done a lot to upgrade it in multiple different ways. I think company philosophy, and part of it comes from being friends with Franz and all the design studio team, is I really want to respect their work. And I think the aftermarket, especially in the US, has no rules. But I do think it's important aspirationally to make a vehicle within the concept that it was intended. So understanding the vehicle is really important to modifying it. And the Cybertruck has a very different DNA than a Model S Plaid, which has a very different DNA than a Model 3, and so on. They share some technology, but the Cybertruck is really the most badass, uncompromising, utilitarian, tool that you could do anything in life with. It's probably a safer place to be than your home or anywhere else. It's so impressively engineered for things that no one's ever even tried before. And it's really fun from an aftermarket point of view to think about how do you go further. And we've done a lot already. So, our Cybertruck over that way has a bunch of things that have gone further. But it's all within the DNA of the truck itself. So, for example, the truck's all stainless steel, which is great. It makes it really, really hard. John's always trying to destroy his truck. And,
Fun fact, you
finally did? Yeah.
I just broke my windshield before on Thursday at 5 p.m. And shout out to Tesla's San Luis Obispo for literally making miracles happen to fix that thing.
Shout out to Tesla engineers for watching all their customers try to destroy their work, by the way. That's got to be hard. My God, everyone's beating the crap out of these trucks. How would you feel if you had this baby and everyone's trying to hurt it? Anyway, sidebar. But anyway, the point I'm making is that the truck is really rugged, but there are certain things the aftermarket can do that Tesla can't do. It's not that we're magicians, just that we play by a little bit of a different rule set. So you might notice on the Cybertruck that the truck's steel, but the bumpers are plastic. And if you believe in the ethos of the Cybertruck, you'd say, well, that'd be better if the bumpers were steel because the bumpers are kind of weak if they're plastic. I can't do as much with those bumpers. But for pedestrian safety reasons, homologation reasons, legal reasons, Tesla can't make a steel bumper and sell it. We can. So our bumpers are steel. And not only are our bumpers steel, like the rear bumper for our truck, for example, has a totally different tow hitch that's much wider that reinforces the whole bumper. So you can actually lift the entire truck up from our bumper, which is pretty crazy. And, when I talk to my friends at Tesla, I get lots of ideas. So one idea was, well, how do you put an extra wheel in the truck? So we have a way to mount a wheel on our bumper. We have swing arms that come out, and you can mount a wheel and drive it around and go off-road. And if you need an extra wheel, it's there for you. Lots of opportunities exist in every platform. The Cybertruck has lots of opportunities. We're doing a lot of different stuff with it, but it all stays within the ethos of, in essence, what would Tesla do if they had no limits? So the nature of our business is to play in the areas where where we're smaller volume, we can do things Tesla can't do, because Tesla probably won't touch most stuff unless it's hundreds of thousands of units. And for us, we'll make cool stuff that only 100 people get, and that's fine. So we get to do a lot of fun things. Cybertruck police cars are over there. That's really fun.
So just talk to us about what you're doing with police, and maybe even get into military.
Yeah. So on the police thing, it's like 2013 when we started all over again. The police don't fully understand the values of Tesla yet. The fear, uncertainty, and doubt is still real in certain pockets. And our job is to convince them what we all already know to be true as a fact. And we have to do it by making cars, by convincing customers one by one, just like the first Tesla owners took a risk one by one. It's all over, starting from scratch. But if you judge our police cars like the Model Y compared to any competitive car, whether it's a Ford Mach-E if you're going electric, or if it's a Ford Explorer if you're looking at the hybrids, we are cheaper to own. Total cost of ownership is cheaper for taxpayers. We are safer by any definable metric. We are faster and more stable. You'll see some news come out Monday, and one of my reference points I love hearing about is officers talk about police chases. The Model Y is epic in police chases. That's always just kind of fun as a car enthusiast. It's the most American-made car. These officers live in these cars. It's their office every day. Like, would you rather be in a Ford Explorer or a Model Y? I mean, I think by any standard, it's just better. And the one thing that really got me energized about making these police cars was the fact that about 75% of all the gas burned, which is where all this money goes, is idling, which is nuts. If you see a police car, more often than not, it's sitting there idling, running the engine, polluting, wasting taxpayer money, and you have to just look at that and say, what the hell is going on? Like, why would anyone make that choice voluntarily? So our goal is to make a better platform. It's a complete car. We're not just fitting bits and pieces and saying, here you go. It's actually, in many ways, re-engineered. And we're trying to do things the right way to make a real impact and to get a lot of police cars on the road with the Model Y, Model 3, and the Cybertruck. And if we execute as we hope to, I think it'll make communities cleaner and safer. It'll save officer lives. It'll save taxpayer money. All good things come from it.
Anything on the military stuff you're working on?
We're working on a press release for military that should be coming in the near future. I happen to believe that the Cybertruck is a great platform for military use, and we've been developing a lot around that. So definitely stay tuned for that. And one of the cool things about being in the aftermarket is I try to find synergistic approaches to engineering. And I think a lot of the off-road, heavy-duty stuff we're doing for Cybertruck can cross over between stuff that you all can buy and things that form the foundation for military use. So I think there's a lot of common use case in the Cybertruck. Just look at it. It looks like it should be in the Army already. So we're going to make that happen.
That's wild. Mine literally looks like a fighter jet. It's insane. Well, so I just want to first off, Ben, thank you for coming. Thank you for pushing and really helping pave the way to where Tesla is today. It takes a village to build a community, to build really to take a lot of the FUD, as you mentioned, and remove it. Especially in the performance world, and now in the police world, and potentially as you head into the military world, and doing things like Tesla Corsa, getting family SUVs, trucks on the track. To Model 3 performance, all that stuff. It's a huge privilege to see all the stuff that you guys are doing, and it's insane too. It was crazy when I started getting hints that Unplugged might be coming up to Fremont, which was, yep. I was like, wait, I don't have to drive 6 hours. Of course, I love seeing you guys, but they're in our neck of the woods now.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words, and I just got to say, we can't do any of this without the community, without you all, and without Tesla. And it's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of these events and to be close with Tesla all these years. And I was joking with Franz earlier today that I'm his warm-up act, but it's Franz, the whole team at Tesla, it's the respect goes so deep because the things that we all love are created by them. And from my point of view, the world that I'm in is just taking what they have and running with it. But it really helps to have a winning product to start with. And Tesla engineers are the smartest people on the planet. Tesla design team is just they kick ass. And I think it's really important to be excited about the future. And this is the key thing that changed in my life when I started Unplugged was I felt like we're part of creating the future collectively as a community, as Tesla's shareholders, as anyone in this system. This represents a definably better future, I believe. And it's really fun to be on that mission with you all and with our friends at Tesla. It's exciting.
Well, let's give Ben a round of applause and really the whole Unplugged team. I mean, and really all of the vendors, but, what you guys showed up with was just insane. I was blown away at how many cars. I was like, they just keep coming in. I mean, like, is this party going to end? But yeah,
come by. We got 13 cars, so come by the booth. Check it out.
But yeah, let's give them a quick round of applause, and we're going to get ready for the next one.